military HQs in these overnight Tehran strikes. But ultimately, we're seeing so much damage take place within Israel over the past 24 hours. It can't help but impact the Israeli psyche. At this point, what still needs to be tackled in terms of the you could say military and nuclear capabilities of the Islamic Republic, and how far is this war from ending?
So, what you said about impacting the Israeli psyche, that's exactly the goal of the Iranian regime. What they're trying to do is launch asymmetric warfare to disguise the damage that they have incurred over the past 3 weeks and to make it look like this hasn't affected them, when in fact they have sustained unprecedented and catastrophic damage. We'll get into it in a second, but we're talking about over 400 missiles that the Iranians have fired at us over the past 3 weeks. Of those, we have 4 direct impacts. We have over 90%, some say 92%, interception rate of the major missiles that they're firing. And of course, the clusters are a separate challenge, but those are smaller warheads and safe rooms should provide protection. So obviously, it's tough times for the home front. But once we look at the big data, the challenges that we're facing are considerably lower than those that we faced back in June in 2025, when we had multiple direct impacts on much, much larger volleys, because the Iranian firing volume of the, not frequency, I'm talking about the volume, the size of each one,
right.
80 to 90% smaller than what it was in the first 48 hours of this war. So those are actually big achievements, and sometimes they go unnoticed. Now, in terms of the damage that has been caused to the Iranian regime, look, the latest figures that we have, and this is probably already outdated, right? But 70% of their missile launchers have been eliminated. 70% of their missile storage have been eliminated. The big majority of their industrial missile production complex has been destroyed. Their leadership has been decapitated, both political and military. Then their replacements came along. They also, many of them, have been eliminated. This creates power vacuums, power struggles. Now, what do they have? This is a big country. It's bigger than Italy, France, Germany, and Britain put together. And they made sure that they would always have some missiles left over, even if they've been hit this hard, so that they could continue, even if it's small volleys, to keep us under pressure, to make it look, and not just us, the whole of the region, that they're still in this fight. So even though the volume is down by 90%, and more than 90% of what they fire is intercepted, they are still able to send millions of people into shelters. We had pinpoint failures yesterday in the south, which have got to be investigated 100%. But at the end of the day, most of the core capabilities that have been targeted in this war have already sustained severe, severe damage. The nuclear program, which was already damaged back in June, further damaged. The missile program, severely damaged. The leadership, severely damaged. So,
right. That just brings me to my next question. Obviously, you're painting a very positive picture as to the impact of Israeli and American strikes on removing the Islamic Republic of its capabilities to strike and hurt Israel. But at the end of the day, we're still seeing this situation go on. Civilians are still running to shelters multiple times a day. So the question is, what is going to be deemed the marker of absolute success? When will we see the IDF say we've done enough? And if Islamic regime or the fall of the Islamic regime is not deemed the main goal here, then can we ever really see this threat from Iran dissipate?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really important question, Natasha. The way I see it is that once a certain red line is passed in terms of their ability to project their capabilities, their ideology, the Islamic Revolution, the missile program, their ability to rain down terror on Israel, once that gets degraded past a certain point, in my view, that's mission success. In terms of the regime falling, that's certainly an aspiration. We all want to see it, and the Israeli Air Force is taking many steps to try and accelerate that by targeting the besieged and the internal repression, system, which has taken massive hits. But this is not a science, and we can't know when it will happen. It could happen next week. It could happen next year. We don't know. I don't think we can hinge the entire war effort on that result, because it's out of our direct control. This is a very hazy area of regimes falling. It's never a science. Nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen, when the critical mass is. And in fact, the regime actually now, basically, once the war ends, the amount of economic and societal pressure it's going to face will be unprecedented since 1979. So nobody knows how long it's going to take for the regime to fall. And I think that we have to be patient. The Israeli goal should be to deny it the ability to launch existential threats against our security for as long as it stands, to leave it paralyzed, broken, and bleeding, unable to rebuild its proxies, unable to rain down mass missile attacks for as long as necessary. I think that is the realistic goal, and the rest we have to wait and see.
Well, certainly the